How do Grandmasters who play in the chess Olympiad beat other chess players? 4 games we're going to go through. Let's see how one player outclasses another. In the final game, we are going to see Indian prodigy Praggnanandhaa play against an IM. We're going to see many chess grandmasters play against many international masters. 4 games, let's begin. So first up, we have Spain versus Belgium. There's just so many games taking place in the Olympiad. It is impossible to cover most of them. But I've just picked a few games that have caught my eye. White is Vallejo Pons, 2702, and Stefan Doch from Belgium, 2434. We have the dragon. Now, how does Vallejo respond? Bishop e3, and now queen d2. Not wasting time with f3. So what's the idea? He's going to go bishop e2. Trying to get in h5 really fast, not even wasting time with moves like f3 and g4. Knight c6. So please bear this in mind. I've highlighted these pieces deliberately. Knight and bishop are about to disappear. You castle. Black can take in the center. Black can also strike in the center, but black played knight g4, forcing a trade. Black is forcing a decision in the center. We get rid of this knight, attack the bishop. 2 bishops look very dangerous against the king side. No, they don't. This is part of Francisco's preparation. Rook c8. Point of knight d5 is to block this bishop. I don't think Francisco wanted this because this pawn is so good controlling the d5 square, which is really what white wants to go for. White wants to control in the Sicilian dragon. Going back 2 moves, block the bishop, and now h4 is just too fast. If you go h5, g4, this is too fast. Typical pawn sack, trying to get in really fast, give checkmate, and go home early. So we can't do that. h4, big decision by black to give up the bishop pair, but the knight is so strong. Take, 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 take. So this is what I was talking about. If you remember, a few moves ago, black had a knight and a bishop in front of the king, but now both pieces have come off the board. One option for black is a move like queen d7, which looks a bit weird, to come to f5. Why? Because on f5 you are actually attacking the center pawn. This rook can come in the game as well. So this was one option. However, back to the game, queen a5 played a very, very natural move. King b1 and now b5. I would definitely play queen c5, offering a queen trade, and then white would keep the queen on because you want to deliver a checkmate. It is definitely a good idea in these kind of positions to keep the queens on because black has lost the knight and the bishop as defenders. The attack has just begun. b5, h5. It's just too quick. 1, 2, checkmate. Or we can open it up, and then there's going to be checkmate on here. Queen c7, threatening mate. Drop the queen back, and we are threatening to open up, and then the rook and the queen are just going to come in. Why did I pick this game? It's just so impressive. a5. Rook h4. Why? Is it to come to the center? No, it's just a double. b4. Black's attack is actually way too slow. Rook h1. It's almost over. If you look at this game, I mean, the guy barely did anything wrong. And Francisco made it look so easy. You have to block the g-file. The guy actually went g5 and then you took with check. Francisco took with check. And there's no other move. If you play a nothing move like here, game over. You can't take with the h-pawn because that's mate. And then mate here. And if you take with this pawn, well, you're just coming through. Just want to show you the checkmate. It's just too dangerous. Check. The king comes up. Check. The pawn blocks. And then rook is mate. Classic mate, just to box the king in. Check first. You have to block. And then game over. Francisco just made it look too easy. Going back a few moves. That's why the guy went g5. Take with check. Now drop the queen back. And here, I've highlighted this before, but remember, please remember a few moves ago. Let's go here. Black had a knight, a pawn, a bishop in front of the king. That was move 8. Now it is move 23. 15 moves later, black doesn't have safety for his king. Let's see the rest. Rook to the center. Vallejo switches up. There's no point going down here anymore. The H file is blocked. The interesting thing is he doesn't even defend with a move like here. He goes for the counter attack. Take, and then now we're coming in. But H6. This is the move. Perhaps this is the move that black missed. You can't take because back rank mate all of a sudden. Rook there. B3. Queen takes is possible, but game over. You can just take, and then you always got mate as a threat. So for example here, if you take, that's always a threat. 1, 2, get the other rook in the game as well. I would seriously consider that. And here, if you go here, you actually have this amazing defensive resource and then take. So if we go back 3 moves, this is why the engine actually suggested this brilliant move here, g4. Stop the rook coming, and then 1, 2. The rooks are coming in. Now back to the game. After this, keep the queens on. And now g4. Rook e5, offering a trade. No trade. But now he trades. Take, take. Throughout this game, this is the threat. Totally boxing the king in. Rook d1. This queen keeps an eye on the thorn in the black position. Rook, well, queen to d8 is mate. Queen e3. Now queen c5. Flashy, isn't it? You can't take because it's mate. Queen c5. What a move from Francisco. Queen takes a5. Now take on b4. 5 pawns versus 3 pawns. Game over. Totally winning. Rook defends pawn. Nice x-ray there. Throwing a check. Doesn't matter. This queen can also come in. And the guy resigned. So going back to the game, well, maybe this was a key moment. There were 2 key moments actually. Here, another option was knight e5. Keep more pieces on, then the knight can come into b3. You can stop it with this move, but then black might get a little bit of play. Attack the pawn, drop it back, hit, and it's a long line. Rook here, attack the pawn, queen is defending the rook, and then the game goes on. Another key moment. Maybe here, instead of the natural queen a5, perhaps black could play queen d7. And if here, maybe the queen can come out. There 5, 1, 2, and also pressure here. Something like this. So then the queen is actually really close to the king. Notice this was not available in the game. And white won. So that's how Spain, this was one of the victories. Spain versus Belgium. Next game. We now have Serbia against Krgystan. Alexander Indic, 26-20 against 23-78. Let's see what happened. So we have bishop b4 check. The Bogo Indian, we're going to block. And now attack the bishop. Bishop goes back. Now in this line, why is black doing this? Why on earth do you give white the center? Because you plan to attack it. You plan to counter attack it soon. Knight d7. Really weird move. Knight retreating. But the point is to get in a pawn break. Give white all the space and find a way to strike later. But, I mean, you've just got 4 pawns in the center. I would take white here any day. White is the one dictating the play. d5. Now, you don't want to play this because that is just positionally a terrible move. You can't just allow a knight to sit on that square. So bishop b2. Indic keeps the tension. And now after c5. Don't want to take. Probably just get the knight in the game. There's no point. Locks it up. When black is playing like this, maybe black is hoping for a draw. GM versus IM. Let's see what happens. Stick around until the end. We have Praggnanandhaa's game as the final one to show. India have put in lots of teams in this Olympiad. 3 teams. Bishop g5. This bishop is awful. But after this, well, maybe this bishop can come in again. Later, queen attacks the pawn. g4. Very important move. Maybe if you were careless with a move like bishop here or rook here, maybe f5 is a move. Don't really want to get black's pieces in the game. So you don't want to do this. That's why I really like this move from Indic, g4, to control the square. Hit the queen, and now knight goes to f1, and it's got a few squares. The blue arrow shows if white can achieve f4, then we are coming in. Knight h5. Really cool move actually, because he's looking ahead. 1, 2, 3. So you actually put the knight there to guard that square. I think that's a class move. Absolute class. Rather than playing maybe knight f5, you might move the queen, you might even take. Yeah, class move from Indic. You hit the pawn, so you block that attack. Knight comes back, and now castle. White is in charge. Tries to break it up. Rook here, take. And the interesting thing is, even though he put his rook there, he did not capture that way. Take with the pawn. Future prospects on h7. Rook f8. Attack the f2 pawn, but now bishop comes in with check. Queen defends the pawn. Knight f4, guarding that square. Bishop f5, really cool move. If you take, rook takes. Let's have a look at this. Check, king here, game goes on. And actually, that rook is really, really well placed because it's shutting out this bishop. So let's go back a few moves. That capture was not played by Indic. Bishop f5, setting up a tactic here. Take, take, g6. Hitting both, but now check out gets out the way, and rook back to h4. This is the pawn break we want. Going back a few moves here, just want to show you, I think there's a really nice point. If you play a nothing move, I think we got this really cool move, check. Well, knight b6 is not a nothing move, sorry. The bishop offers a trade. There's this really cool tactic I wanted to show. Bishop takes check, and now knight takes discovered check. And after here, you can play this, just winning. By the way, this is a flashy move. Rook check as well. If you take, check wins the queen. It's just, you don't have to take, that's why I didn't point it out. However, going back a few moves here, let's just win. Let's just win the exchange. Now back to the game. Let's go back 5 or 6 moves. This position. Bishop f5, take, take, check, and now drop it back. We want this blue pawn break, this blue arrow. Knight b6. This knight, if you guys have noticed, has just gone back 1, 2, 1, 2. Bishop's now come off. f4, that's the pawn break. If this opens up, it's game over. Don't want to take because now the knight fills the gap. I think black is absolutely fine in this position. No. White keeps attention by pushing. How on earth is this bishop ever gonna come back in the game? Please look out for these pawns. They're all gonna be on dark squares. That's how this bishop will come back to life. Bear that in mind. Really cool finish coming up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just doesn't look like he's ever going to come back in the game, right? Wrong. Queen h2. Too much pressure. Maybe there's a break somewhere. We'll see. Okay, rook f1. Take. And now rook in. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Queen is going to sneak in somehow. Okay, queen in. King up. Bishop there. What does that do? Is it coming round this way? No. Watch this. Watch this. Not going to trade. We're going to trade on our terms. If you take, I'm just going to take with the pawn. 2 pawns, too strong. No. Queen there, and now here we go. King there. Well, what's this doing? What's happening here? Take, take, and now take, take, and absolutely brilliant move. Now's your chance to pause the video. I'll give you guys 5 seconds. Can you find a brilliant move for white? Amazing. The queens have now come off. Pair of rooks have come off, but white still finds a way in. Turns out the action is not here anymore. It's over here. White finds a way to sacrifice the bishop, giving up the bishop for a couple of pawns. The king runs in. You can't do this to defend because here, and then the king can come in as well. Guide the pawn home. This knight is too far away. The king ever moves, maybe the rook can come in as well. game over. Let's have a look. So we push, take, come in, push, in. These pawns are dropping. Do you remember a few moves ago? Let's go back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 black pawns, and now, so that was move 36. It is now move 50. So 36 to 50. 14 moves later, we get this point where white is now just crashing through. These can drop. Well, that's going to drop. You've got 2 potential queens. The rook really does restrict the other rook. Taking on d6, and now come in here. Game over. You hit my rook, I hit your rook. Take, take, come back, and the guy resigned. If we play on a few more moves, well, this pawn is just going to queen, and so will these pawns. The knight is totally out of the game. Push. If you don't come back, I'm just going to go forward. Check. I go forward anyway, and game over. Absolute crushing victory. Final one I want to go through is, here we go, Estonia versus India's second team. I want to look at Praggnanandhaa's game. So we have 26-48 versus 24-18, GM against FM. Let's see the difference in class. So we have the open Sicilian, we have the classical Sicilian, 2 knights and a pawn out, and guess what? Things change now. White wants to go bishop g2 castle, play in a positional manner, and guess what? Pragg does the same. It's not a classical Sicilian anymore, it is a dragon. Knight deliberately retreats. That's a weird move, okay? How do you tell a beginner to play a move like that? You get out of the diagonal right here, right now, and the knights defend each other. It's a really weird retreating move. I wouldn't play that. Because now this knight is better than this. Why are you retreating from the action? But anyway, it's a different way to play. h3. With this move, it gives black this option, queen c8. It stops white castling now. And the cool thing is, I was listening to the high-level commentary between Peter Leko and Peter Svidler. That's a move. Then here, 1-2. Turns out white can still castle queenside. Really cool idea mentioned by Peter Leko, so I just wanted to share that with you, because I've never seen a double option like this, where, let's say we continue a bit, white can actually castle queenside. Now, back to the game. Bishop g2. Bishop d7. Now queen c8, knight f4. Defending, and now maybe you can castle. We'll see. h5. Typical move in these positions. If there's no knight on this square, you flick in h5. Get that pawn going. Knight d5, take, take. And now b5 getting. Space already. It's really cool actually. You don't normally get the chance to just flick in b5 in one go. In these Sicilian positions, normally you have to prepare it like a move like rook b8 or a6, b5, but no, Pragg just goes b5 straight away. It just feels like white has wasted a lot of time just to get one knight in the center. But anyway, castle, bishop here. So let's defend, and now king f1. I was still wondering about this, by the way, because maybe you can castle, or can you? Because you can't take, or can you? Take, take, knight c7. This was what I was wondering. But it turns out black gets really cool counterplay with knight e5. Knight g4, queen here is mate, so you can't actually take a rook. Mate, and you can't stop it. You actually have to give up your queen. So going back 2 moves, queen e2, that actually stops it. So if you go knight g4, which is still the best move, you stop it because you play a move like f3. Except you don't. What a long variation I wanted to point out. Check. If you go queen g2, there's this absolutely brilliant backward move, queen e5. I can't believe this. 1, 2, 3. The point of this move is if you move the bishop, check. And you pick up the knight. You can even put the knight in as well, so you fought both. Wow, what a long sequence. I had to point that out because I'd never seen such a long sequence in this style. Knight g4, check. And the best move here, queen e5, we can take. Notice this move hits the bishop. White takes the knight, take, and now, yeah, we take a rook. But still really good for black. e5, you hit the rook, right? Is white coming back in the game? No. Black has just so many pawns we're going to take, and we're going to pin the queen to the king. Take, 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 take. Put your bishop here, and we are totally winning. Very, very long sequence. So let's go back 12 moves. Back to this point. I just had to point it out because I had never ever seen it before, and I checked just now. I checked with the engine, I mean. So the guy actually just sidestepped. King f1. Bishop here, king g1, so castling by hand, which means you literally just move the king to h2, then the rook can come in the game. b4, what a move. What a move by Pragg. I thought you had to prepare it when I first saw this game. Maybe move like rook b8, then b4. But turns out, Pragg is sharp. Too sharp. You can actually flick in b4. If you take with a knight, take, take, you can take on b2. You can even get the queen in first. Because, I mean, that pawn is not going anywhere, so you might get the queen in first. Or, I think you just take that first. Rook here, then the bishop can come back. Something like this. That pawn is now under attack, by the way. So back to the game. Let's go back 3 moves. b4, what a move by Pragg. Take, 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 take. So that's why. Such fast way to get counterplay. You play a move like b4. After this capture, the knight defends it. Not only that, White's knight is very strong in the center. Get rid of it and we come in. Counterplay by Pragg is too fast. Knight hits the queen. This is a great bishop. The queen can come in here. The king is doing nothing. That bishop is awful. That bishop isn't really doing anything. Rook b8. Queen a6. Too fast. The moves are too fast, too easy, too good. Controlling too many squares. Drop the knight back. Bishop f1. Undeveloping the bishop to attack the queen. Now we're coming in here. b4, knight in. Threatening, knight check. We can all blunder a queen in one move, so the guy stops it. a5, break open the structure. Bishop e3, allowing the check, then coming back. So nice to attack the queen. The queen moves, and now we can take on b4. Pragg is coming in. Here's another key point. In this position, I'm just wondering, why didn't he take? Blow open the center with d5. I don't get it. Just blow it open. If take, it's probably over. I see. Knight f3 check, game over. Wow, all of a sudden. Okay, now let's go back another move. Why does that matter? Why not go d5 now? The bishop can come back. Okay, well, take and then take. Game goes on. Okay, fine. Now another moment. After a5, take isn't a better move. It doesn't have to be d5. Let's check out the second option, queen b2. This is Pragg's idea. Queen b2, hit this, and it's being attacked. Ah, maybe the rook can come in now. I see. Let's say the king comes up, maybe the rook comes in, and then the game goes on. You hit the queen, it's being defended. The knight is being defended, I mean, the queen moves away, the queen can take this pawn. The game goes on. Throughout this game, the king has been in danger. Alright, back to the game. Let's go back a few moves. So bishop e3 played, check, hit the queen, and now taking on b4. But now you just allow the pawn to run. After this, what was another option? Here, take, why not take? Maybe it's just over. Yeah, this ending just feels lost, doesn't it? 5 against 4. Rook is still out of the game. Rook attacks this. Knight is so well placed in the center. Counterplay is very easy for black. 1, 2, get the rooks on the 7th. Too many options. The moves are too easy and they're good moves anyway. Back to the game. Take, a4, b3. In trouble. Bishop b5. So that was the guy's idea. Again a4. So then the bishop can come here. Hit the rook. b2. Really cool move. Really fancy move because you can't take because the queen will take with check. Amazing, actually. The queen had to defend the pawn. So you move the rook and now you move the knight. Really cool move. Class move in my opinion. Class move. Because once the rook leaves, you can block with the knight. You defend. You don't get attacked. Class move from Pragg. Rook c8. Knight a7. Cool move. Attacking. Now this bishop. Well, this bishop is better than that, I guess. They come off. But you've always got this asset on b2. It's looking terrible. Rook c2, rook c5, rook c8. Right, let's see the rest. So this is always going to be a thorn in the white position. Queen in. Rooks come off now. Because once the rooks come off, it's actually time for Pragg to start a kingside attack. The queen threatens mate, so you stop it. It threatens a queen, I mean. So white stops it, but after bishop d4, game over. It's mate, here and here. So if we played on a little bit, maybe the king runs. So let's throw in a check. Queen in, take. Everything is falling. You hit the bishop. If that bishop ever leaves the diagonal, it's a queen. Going back a few moves, could white defend some other way? Can't actually see another option. What if you just play a move like a5? Check. Maybe it's just the same thing. Ah, even better, mating net on g2, I see. Game over, even cleaner, and there's no way for the queen to defend it. So I hope you saw the difference in class between GMs at the Chess Olympiad and then rated players like IMs and FMs. You could see the difference in class. What type of Chess Olympiad video do you want to see next?